Well, hello, I'm Forgiveness Willie, teaching from A Course in Miracles on how to forgive here from the Ozarks on Friday, January the 17th of 2025. We're reading from the Foundation for Inner Peace version, and let's sing it, and let's do 1 minute meditation or 1 minute doing what it says to do by I do not see a neutral whatever, because my thoughts about whatever are not neutral, okay? I see no neutral things because I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things because I have no neutral thoughts. I do not see a neutral wall because my thoughts about walls are not neutral. I do not see a neutral body because my thoughts about bodies are not neutral. You see no neutral things because you have no neutral thoughts. It's always the thought that comes first, despite the temptation to believe, despite the temptation to believe that it is the other way around. This is not the way the world thinks, but you must learn it is the way you think. Now let's do one. I do not see neutral whatever because my thoughts about whatever are not neutral. I do not see a neutral because my thoughts about are not neutral. Okay, now look around and do it. I do not see a neutral because my thoughts about are not neutral. I do not see a neutral because my thoughts about are not neutral. I do not see a neutral because my thoughts about are not neutral. I do not see a neutral because my thoughts about are not neutral. Do another couple. I do not see a neutral because my thoughts about are not neutral. I do not see a neutral because my thoughts about are not neutral. I do not see a neutral because my thoughts about are not neutral. I do not see a neutral because my thoughts about are not neutral. I see no neutral things because I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things because I have no neutral thoughts. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today and studying Lesson 17. Let's read through it now. And maybe you've already read through it, but let's read through it again. If you haven't read through it, well then listen up. And we'll do that little closing. At our close, we'll do one more of our practice periods for 1 minute so that you can have another chance to do it if you didn't know for sure what you're doing. Otherwise, you might get 2 of them here in this 30 minutes. My thoughts are images that I have made. He wants us to do about 5 today for about 1 minute. No big deal. It is because the thoughts you think appear as images that you do not recognize them as nothing. You think them, and so you think you see them. This is how your, in quotes, seeing was made. This is the function you have given your body's eyes. It is not seeing, it is image making. It takes the place of seeing, replacing vision with illusions. This introductory idea to the process of image making that you call seeing will not have much meaning for you. You will begin to understand it. Oh, you know what? We're on the wrong. I'm on the wrong page. I thought we already read number 17, lesson 17. I see no neutral things. We sang the right thing. My page just blew. I see no neutral things. This idea is another step in the direction of identifying cause and effect as it really operates in the world. You see no neutral things because you have no neutral thoughts. It is always the thought that comes first, despite the temptation to believe that it is the other way around. This is not the way the world thinks, but you must learn that it is the way you think. If it were not so, perception would have no cause and would itself be the cause of reality. In view of its highly variable nature, this is hardly likely. In applying today's ideas, say to yourself with eyes open, I see no neutral things because I have no neutral thoughts. Then look about you, resting your glance on each thing you note long enough to say, I do not see a neutral book because my thoughts about books are not neutral. Of course, I just filled in the blank with the word book. For example, you might say, I do not see a neutral wall because my thoughts about walls are not neutral. I do not see a neutral body because my thoughts about bodies are not neutral. As usual, it is essential to make no distinctions between what you believe to be animate and inanimate, pleasant and unpleasant. Regardless of what you may believe, you do not see anything that is really alive and really joyous. Wow, that's quite a statement. Regardless of what you may believe, you do not see anything that is really alive or really joyous. That is because you are unaware as yet of any thought that is really true and therefore really happy. Wow. That should if we trust his words, then that should motivate us to want to really do the lesson so we can see what really will make us happy, see what's really true. In the last paragraph, 4, 3 or 4 specific practice periods are recommended, and no less than 3 are required for maximum benefit, even if you experience resistance. However, if you do, the length of the practice period may be reduced to less than a minute or so that is otherwise recommended. Okay, well, instead of 5 times, 4 times, he's saying 3 or 4 times for about a minute. And you can reduce that to less than a minute, and you can do it just, how does he say? So you can do it 3 or 4 times for even less than a minute if you find a minute to trying. We'll try to make it easy by singing it together, okay? All right, let's go take a look at our text reading for today, and it's Cause and Effect, which is in Chapter 2, the Separation and the Atonement, Section 7, Cause and Effect. You may still complain about fear, but you nevertheless persist in making yourself fearful. You may still complain about fear, but you nevertheless persist in making yourself fearful. I've already indicated that you cannot ask me to release you from fear. I know it does not exist, but you do not. If I intervened between your thoughts and their results, I would be tampering with If I intervened between your thoughts and their results, I would be tampering with a basic law of cause and effect. The most fundamental law there is, cause and effect, the most fundamental law there is. I would hardly help you if I depreciated the power of your own thinking. Got a little turkey over here to come up beside me. I would hardly help you if I depreciated the power of your own thinking. This would be in direct opposition to the purpose of this course. It is much more helpful to remind you that you do not guard your thoughts carefully enough. You may feel that at this point it would take a miracle to enable you to do this, which is perfectly true. You are not used to miracle-minded thinking, but you can be trained to think that way. All miracle workers need that kind of training, and that's what we're learning to do, get that kind of training, miracle-mindedness. Paragraph 2, I cannot let you leave your mind unguarded, or you will not be able to help me. Miracle working entails a full realization of the power of thought in order to avoid miscreation. Otherwise, a miracle will be necessary to set the mind itself straight, a circular process that would not foster the time collapse for which the miracle was intended. The time collapse that the miracle was intended to offer. The miracle worker must have genuine respect for true cause and effect as a necessary condition for the miracle to occur. Paragraph 3. Both miracles and fear come from thoughts. If you are not free to choose one, you would also not be free to choose the other. By choosing the miracle, you have rejected fear, if only temporarily. You have been fearful of everyone and everything. You are afraid of God, of me, and of yourself. You have misperceived or miscreated us and believe in what you have made. You would not have done this if you were not afraid of your own thoughts. The fearful must miscreate because they misperceive creation. When you miscreate, you are in pain. The cause and effect principle now becomes a real expediter, though only temporarily. Actually, cause is a term properly belonging to God, and his effect is his Son. This entails a set of cause and effect relationships totally different from those you introduce into miscreation. The fundamental conflict in this world, then, is between creation and miscreation. All fear is implicit in the second, and all love in the first. The conflict is therefore one between love and fear. The conflict is between love and fear. Paragraph 4. It has already been said that you believe you cannot control fear because you yourself made it, and your belief in it seems to render it out of your control. Yet any attempt to resolve the error through attempting the mastery of fear is useless. The mastery of fear is useless. In fact, it asserts the power of fear by the very assumption that it need be mastered. The true resolution rests entirely on mastery of love. In the interim, however, the sense of conflict is inevitable, since you have placed yourself in a position where you believe in the power of what does not exist. Paragraph 5. Nothing and everything cannot coexist. So nothing really is the illusion of fear is a nothing. But reality is love, and it's everything. Nothing and everything cannot coexist. To believe in one is to deny the other. Fear is really nothing, and love is everything. Whenever light enters darkness, the darkness is abolished. What you believe is true for you. In this sense, the separation has occurred, and to deny it is merely to use denial inappropriately. However, to concentrate on error is only a further error. The initial corrective procedure is to recognize temporarily that there is a problem, but only as an indication that immediate correction is needed. This establishes a state of mind in which the atonement can be accepted without delay. Remember yesterday we learned that first you have to know that you're having a fear. And once you've known that you've had a fear, then you remind yourself that fear is lack of love. And the only thing that can heal lack of love is perfect love. And perfect love is as atonement, or would it be easier if you thought of it? Perfect love would be complete forgiveness. Okay? So, but you have to apply the forgiveness is what I'm trying to get at. You can't just now, okay, I'm fearful. I've got a fear going on. Don't stop there. Be glad that you've noticed it. But now do the immediate needed thing, which is apply love, apply forgiveness. Let go of whatever it was that's causing you a concern, and trust in God's care in place of that perfect love. So let's look at that again. The initial corrective procedure is to recognize temporarily that there is a problem, but only as an indication that immediate correction is needed, okay? It's a temporary problem. All your problems are temporary. But you get to decide how how temporary they are. You can either use your willingness to apply complete forgiveness now, or you can drag it on a while and be in your pain until finally the discomfort becomes so strong that you decide to go ahead and apply forgiveness later. Eventually, you're going to apply forgiveness, because forgiveness is the key to happiness. It's the key to it. You know, all those forgivenesses that we habitually do, the miracle mindedness that we're trying to develop, is simply when we just become really at ease and practicing forgiveness and being so thankful that God's put us in a place where we can now look a little closer and realize we don't have any neutral thoughts, that everything we've made is a result of our thoughts, and that we want to get rid of the miscreative thoughts and have only true thoughts, authoritative thoughts, God thoughts, love thoughts. Okay? Okay, let's see. The initial corrective procedure is to recognize temporarily that there is a problem, but only as an indication that immediate correction is needed. This establishes a state of mind in which the atonement can be accepted without delay. It should be emphasized, however, that ultimately no compromise is possible between everything and nothing. Time is essentially a device by which all compromise in this respect can be given up. It only seems to be abolished by degrees because time itself involves intervals that do not exist. Miscreation made this necessary as a corrective device. The statement, and he's going to quote John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life, needs only one slight correction to be meaningful in this context. He gave it to his only begotten Son. Okay, now let's look at that again now. Time is essentially a device by which all compromise in this respect can be given up. It only seems to be abolished by degrees because time itself involves intervals that do not exist. Miscreation made this necessary as a corrective device. The statement, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, can be said, for God so loved the world that he gave it to his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. So it needs only that one correction to be meaningful in this context. He gave it to his only begotten Son. He gave the world to his only begotten Son. Paragraph 6. It should especially be noted that God has only one Son. If all his creations are his sons, everyone must be an integral part of the whole sonship. The sonship in its oneness transcends the sum of its parts. However, this is obscured as long as any of its parts is missing. That is why the conflict cannot ultimately be resolved until all the parts of the sonship have returned. Only then can the meaning of wholeness in the true sense be understood. Any part of the sonship can believe in error or incompleteness if he so chooses. However, if he does so, he is believing in the existence of nothingness, the great nothingness. The correction of this error is the atonement. Wow, let it go. Let go of it. If it doesn't speak for peace, it's not worth hanging on to. Practice forgiveness. It's not worth holding on to. Let it go. And the last paragraph, 7. I've already briefly spoken about readiness, but some additional points might be helpful here. Readiness is only the prerequisite for accomplishment. The two should not be confused. As soon as a state of readiness occurs, there is usually some degree of desire to accomplish, but it is by no means necessarily undivided. The state does not imply more than a potential for a change of mind. Confidence cannot develop fully until mastery has been accomplished. We have already attempted to correct the fundamental error that fear can be mastered, and have emphasized that the only real mastery is through love. Readiness is only the beginning of confidence. You may think this implies that an enormous amount of time is necessary between readiness and mastery. But let me remind you that time and space are under my control, says Jesus. He can make everything around you work so that it moves you right on your way. And we talked about that yesterday. Okay, let's see what's going on. And remember, our lesson today, I see no neutral things because I have no neutral thoughts. We'll do that another one of those 1-minute practice periods as we close. What's going on around the world? Well, I found on the World Wide Web that it's Guru Gobind Singh Sahib's birthday. He was born on this day in 1666, I expect, and died in 1708. He was the 10th and the last physical guru of the Sikhs. And he said that from now on, the new guru will be the Guru Granth Sahib, which is basically the central text of the Sikh, and that's the 11th guru. Anyway, I just thought that was some interesting stuff. Let's see, Cable Car Day, when Andrew Smith Halliday got his patent in 1871 for a cable car. International Mentoring Day. I hope I'm mentoring you and you're getting something useful out of this. And I'm so thankful for all mentors that have come to me that God continually sends to me. And you're welcome to share things with me on email. My email address is in the description below. Judgment Day. I think that's more of a fun holiday. You're your own judge. You might as well look in the mirror and judge yourself as worthy and good, which is really going in the right direction of what Course in Miracles teaches. There's certainly not a God that's going to, his judgment will be, you're acquitted, you're free, you're my beloved child, and always have been and always will be. Can't do anything to change it. International Fetish Day. I don't know what that's about. And also it's Benjamin Franklin's birthday. He was born 2 years before our Guru Gobind Singh Sahib died. And anyway, he was born in 1706 on this day in Boston, Massachusetts, Benjamin Franklin. And he died in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on April the 17th of 1790. He lived most of the 17th century, or the 18th century, 1700s. Let's see. Oh, here's a nice saying I got from Benjamin Franklin since it's birth. Be at war with your vices, at peace with your neighbors, and let every new year find you a better man. Or woman. Okay, and yesterday we talked about the quinoa. A couple more things I wanted to tell you about the Chenopodium quinoa. It grows in zones 4 through 10, up to 10,000 feet up in the Rocky Mountains even, which is 3,000 meters high. It's a complete protein. Some other complete proteins is hemp, chia, adenine, farro, buckwheat. And keep in mind that any grain and legume mixed together, a bean or a pea, mixed with any grain, corn, wheat, whatever, is a complete protein. And because of the way that agricultural people grow things in America and today, I would encourage you to eat organic, just because of all the glyphosates that are sprayed and different things that we don't need that in our bodies. Okay, and I wanted to tell you about a pomegranate, which I didn't say yesterday. It's the Bala Mursal pomegranate, which is a Punic granatum. And it says that the Bala Mursal pomegranate considered one of the best varieties for juicing, having 70% juice and 12 to 20% sugar. Fruit can keep for 3 to 4 months. Bala is a medium to large fruit, speckled pink red rind. Seeds pop when you chew them. Zones 7 through 9 self-fertile. And of course, we're learning that we probably can grow these in a courtyard on a south on the south side of a rock wall or your house or something, with a little bit of care. Was there anything else? Oh, our word for peace is from Japanese, and Heiwa. So Heiwa be with you. Let's close with our song and do 1 minute of I do not see a neutral whatever, because my thoughts about whatever are not neutral. I see no neutral things because I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things because I have no neutral thoughts. You see no neutral things because you have no neutral thoughts. It's always the thought that comes first, despite the temptation to believe, despite the temptation to believe that it is the other way around. This is not the way the world thinks, but you must learn it is the way you think. Now let's do one. I do not see a neutral because my thoughts about him are not neutral. I do not see a neutral because my thoughts about him are not neutral. I'll hum when you just put in the word. You say, I do not see a neutral because my thoughts about him are not neutral. I do not see a neutral because my thoughts about him are not neutral. Do not see a neutral because my thoughts about him are not neutral. I do not see a neutral because my thoughts about him are not neutral. Do not see a neutral because my thoughts about him are not neutral. I do not see a neutral because my thoughts about him are not neutral. I do not see a neutral because my thoughts about him are not neutral. I do not see a neutral because my thoughts about him are not neutral. A couple more. I do not see a neutral because my thoughts about him are not neutral. Do not see a neutral because my thoughts about him are not neutral. You see no neutral things because you have no neutral thoughts. It's always the thought that comes first, despite the temptation to believe, despite the temptation to believe that it is the other way around. This is not the way the world thinks, but you must learn it is the way you think. I see no neutral things because I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things because I have no neutral thoughts. Okay, of our 4 meditations, or 4 practice periods for 1 minute, if you did both of those with me at the beginning of the lesson and here at the end of the lesson, you've done 2. Do one before you go to bed and one before when you first get up in the morning is what I'd recommend. But anyway, I see no neutral things because I have no neutral thoughts. We're digging in deep, learning about how our thoughts make the world we see. And our word for peace from the Japanese is Heiwa. So Heiwa be with you. Peace be with you. I see no neutral things. Heiwa.